Tony, can you hear me? All right, this is weird. All right, you know what? I'm going to make this quick because I don't even know if it's working and I don't even know if I have volume. Let's see. Let me make that one too. Nope, this one. All right, I don't know. I hope you can hear me. I'll make it quick in case you can't. So, I wanted to check in with the day 35 of the war, Israel-Hamas report. I was not live yesterday, but man, was I in really like amazing visual places, and I wish I had taken video, but I had my hands full at the moment, so I did not. But I'm just going to give you a brief update up to today, day 35. There are now in Gaza, 11,000 people have been killed in the Israeli strikes after the Hamas attacks of October 7th on Israel. The bombing's been relentless and nonstop. And so the strikes have killed over 11,000 people now. Now, Israel has been saying for a long time, like, go south, like telling Israelis or telling Palestinians that are in the north of Gaza, head south because we're going to be like bombing and entering eventually the north of Gaza. And so it took a while to get going, but finally it looks like even Arab media is now reporting that Palestinians are heading south. You see the images of them on foot, most of them on foot, and with white flags, say like, we're civilians, please, don't bomb us. So they've been going. So okay, good. Tony says it's working, so I hope it's working. Although if anybody lasted the first minute where it was just like a black screen, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm using a new platform just to see if I can live stream on two places at one time. Okay, so so Israel is pretty much, I think, undeniably now inside Gaza. Now that had been a matter of debate because it totally depends on which media you're getting your news from. So, I mean, I have to say, like, I'm getting most of my news from the Israeli channel that is like on my local TV. So, according to them, Israel's been in for a while. Like they've been sending troops into the north of Gaza for a while. But I spoke with some Palestinian friends who are getting their news from other sources, and they're like, Israel's not in, and meanwhile Israeli news was reporting Israel's almost encircled Gaza City. This was like a week ago. And now you've got pictures on the news of Israeli tanks inside Gaza. So Israel has really taken like large swaths now um, of Gaza. So it looks like anyway. Um, so they are inside now. The Palestinians have been calling this a second Nakba. The word Nakba means catastrophe, and it's how Palestinians refer to the creation of Israel. Because in 1948, when Israel was created and when it was declared a state, and then the war ensued, it led to the permanent displacement of Palestinians from their homes because they did flee at the time, and the war ensued, and Israel became a state. They declared itself a state, but then fought and got its independence. And so, anyway, so this is being called the second Nakba. Because of the displacement of these Palestinians, and we're talking about 1 million people that have to move south. And I was talking this before with talking to Tony about this before. Like, well, what's after the million move south, are they going to ask them to move further south, and then where do you go after that, and what's going to happen? So, not sure. So, in Gaza, they're saying like several hospitals right now aren't even functioning, and and anyway, there's it's just a humanitarian crisis in making. And another thing is that is on some of the news, like I said, it depends where you get your news, but Al Jazeera, for instance, is reporting that Israel was going to, well, the U.S. is trying to get Israel to agree to have 4-hour humanitarian pauses in the fighting for their to be able to get humanitarian aid inside. So that's another thing going on. So in the last day, we have there's been rockets, fewer rockets being launched at Israel, but there's still rockets being launched at Israel from several different directions. Yesterday, there were at least 3 attacks on Eilat somehow or another. Like Eilat is the southernmost city. It had been considered the safest city up to this point. It's like down on the border with Jordan, Egypt, Red Sea, Saudi Arabia is down there. And then, of course, 2,000 kilometers to the south is Yemen, where apparently the Houthis again launched a missile. It was intercepted over the Red Sea. But another missile or drone landed on a school in Eilat. Like I don't even think there were sirens for that. I think it was just it just got in and landed, and apparently it's from either Syria or Iraq, actually. So I mean, they're coming in from all over now, which is crazy. But despite all of that, we're still not necessarily at like any big point of escalation. It's still rather calm. Now, I didn't hear if Nasrallah gave a speech today. That's Hezbollah leader Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah. I did not hear if he gave a speech today. He gave a speech a week ago on Friday, and he really didn't say. He said, he said, how dare people say like we're not declaring war, accuse us of not getting into this war of we declared war with the very first rocket that we shot. But I think people were expecting a massive escalation, and the Palestinians were probably expecting, at least the people were. I don't know if Hamas, when they launched their attack, were expecting everybody to join in, but the Palestinians were expecting like, well, Hezbollah will come to our aid, or maybe also, now you've got the Houthis seemingly out of nowhere and 2,000 miles away were involved. And you would think all the other, if this is really an Iranian controlled thing, that all the proxy groups would get involved, but no one really has. And the thing about Hezbollah's rockets is that they haven't really been deadly. I think there are 2 or maybe a few more. I think there was 1 civilian that was killed and at least 1 soldier, but possibly more that have been killed. But they're very infrequent, these attacks. They're not hitting civilian targets. They're mostly either being intercepted or landing in open fields. And so it's not really amounting to the escalation that everybody was fearing was going to happen. However, on the other hand, Nasrallah had a very interesting point where he said, yeah, you say I didn't enter the war, but look what I've done. I have basically kept Israel in a paralyzed holding pattern with thousands of residents evacuated from the north. And the economy's paralyzed up there. Like if you can't get into your homes or your schools or your farms, and your restaurants, everything has died. And not to mention there's no tourism to the country. So that sector has also been killed. And of course, that's just the north. The same with the south, where, 100-something thousand people have been evacuated as well from their communities. And, the economy is on hold in many areas of the country. So it was a very interesting take on the kind of war that we might be looking at. In fact, if we don't see a military escalation from any of these angles, we will continue to see war on the economy, and in just these different ways, and also war on routine and living in a state of fear and living in a state of war. So anyway, those are some of the issues that were out there that I wanted to bring up. Is there something new happening right now? Here's something on the news. Okay. No, not bad. I think there was another rocket in Sderot, and that was the first time in a couple days, actually. But anyway, that's where we are now. It's about to be Shabbat here in Israel, Friday night. It's getting dark, as you can see. And we've we're just waiting for whatever's supposed to happen or how this is supposed to end, and it doesn't look like there's much of a conclusion in sight at the moment. So day 35 and counting. Anyway, thank you for joining. I'm going to go, and I will be back with another one, and I hope when I figure this platform out. So thank you. Have a good night.